Hi, this is Mark. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about a subject that came up in one of the comments on a video I did about Noel Randall. I'm going to talk about equity in real estate, what equity is and how you should handle it. Also, at the end of the video, I'm going to discuss a topic related to equity that I think about on a regular basis. If you are enjoying my videos and you don't want to miss any, then please go ahead and subscribe. And as always, help me out with that YouTube algorithm and smash the like button. What is equity in real estate? Equity is simply the difference between how much a property is worth and what you owe on the property. So for example, if a property is worth $200,000 and you have a $75,000 mortgage on it, then your equity is $125,000. You simply take the $200,000 in property value and subtract the $75,000 mortgage, and that gives you the $125,000 in equity. Now, I should note that equity can be negative. Property values can drop, as some people in the 2008 era discovered. And they got into property with very little down at the top of the market. And then when property values dropped, their equity became negative. That is what is called being underwater, when you owe more on the property than the property is worth. There are many fewer underwater properties these days because of the explosion in property values. Also, lenders are being much more careful in terms of the borrowers that they choose to lend to and the types of loans that they make. They are requiring better borrowers with stronger incomes, better credit, and more down payments. Equity has value. That may seem like an obvious statement, but it will make more sense as we get deeper into the video. Equity is not as valuable as cash, for example. The reason is that cash is spendable. Anything you want to purchase, you can purchase with cash. However, if you have equity and you want to turn it into cash, that's what you must do in order to spend your equity. And the way you do that is either through a refinance or through a sale. And either one of those will have costs. For a refinance, there are going to be lender costs. There are also going to be escrow costs. And for a sale, there may be seller concessions. There may be real estate commissions. And again, there will be escrow fees. You will never be able to turn 100% of your equity into cash. In addition, lenders typically don't like you to borrow out 100% of your equity. They will typically lend you 70 to 80% of your equity. Finally, many banks have strict limits on the number of mortgages that they will allow you to have. It's often 4 or 10 depending on the bank. And if you have more mortgages than that, some banks will not lend you more money, let you take out another mortgage, regardless of your financial situation. In cases like that, it may be difficult to get your equity out no matter what your financial situation is, no matter how much money you make, no matter what your credit is, and no matter how much equity you have in the property. So why would an investor ever consider leaving any equity in a property? I knew one investor who said he was always in escrow. His philosophy was to leave no equity in the property. He was always in escrow. Either he was in escrow to refinance a property and take money out, or he was in escrow to use the money that he had just taken out to purchase another property. This is called pyramiding your profits, and it's a very aggressive real estate strategy. You can make good money doing it, but it also has risks in that you don't have a lot of leeway if property values go down or if rents go down. Because you're taking your equity out of the property, you're borrowing more on the property, you're increasing the mortgage payment, and so you're reducing the amount of positive cash flow. If rents go down or property values go down, you could lose the property. I am a strong believer that the biggest benefits of real estate come over the long term. However, in order to get to the long term, you have to be able to survive the short term. And many investors have lost illiquid assets that they had too much debt on when they could not sell the asset. One equity question that I periodically think about is what I would do if I had received a small windfall. And by small, I don't mean a lottery win, but I also don't mean, say, $10,000 or $15,000. I mean enough of a windfall in order to be able to pay off one of my real estate properties, one of my rental properties. The reason I think about that is that what I would do with that property is then I would take the cash flow from that property that I used to use to pay the mortgage, and instead I would use to double up on another property and pay that property off quicker. Then when that property was paid off, I would use those two mortgages to pay off another mortgage. Eventually, the goal being to get to a point where I had all of my properties completely paid off and they were only generating cash flow. The reason I think about doing that is because it's difficult to lose a property that has no mortgage on it. As long as you pay the property taxes, you can keep the property forever. One point to remember about using a windfall like this is you need enough of a windfall to be able to pay off the entire property. If all you do is you make a large partial payment, you're not paying off the property. Your mortgage payment will not go away. It will not go down. It will stay the same. All that you will be doing is reducing the length of the mortgage. You will make the same payment, but just fewer of them. For me, the decision about paying off a property or not is the decision, do I want cash or do I want hassle-free, worry-free cash flow? I'm Mark. That's what I think. Until next time, thanks for joining me, and keep that cash register spinning.